Right then, this is a quick walk around video, and this is for an absolutely stunning looking Honda CRZ. It's a 1.5 GT, top of the range model, packed with options. It's got the exterior dynamic pack, these are lovely Electra alloys, and sat-nav all fitted. Just 46,000 miles, one owner from new, and an absolutely impeccable Honda service history. And the car is absolutely lovely. The car's 10 years old, it's in remarkable condition. Lights and lenses completely clean and intact. Bonnet's very clean indeed. Near side of the car, wonderfully smooth in the panel work. Alloy on the front, apart from the mud splash, I do apologise, it's a bit mucky and wet at the moment. It is all really lovely. Such a fantastic angle for the car as well from the back. That little lip spoiler, whilst small, just completely changes the aspect and look of the car. And coming around the back of the vehicle into the offside, the driver's side, again, just wonderfully smooth in the panels. And finally through to the front wheel, but it is in exceptionally good condition. So for a car of its age, certainly reflects the mileage of the vehicle. Let's go into the boot of the car. Actually good sized boots, even with the rear seats up. As I say in the advert rather, it's best in all honesty just to drop that seat down and leave it as one big boot in the back, because the rear seats are all but useless. So coming to the front now, absolutely beautiful condition in here as well. Original mats fitted the car, all look really lovely. And the front passenger seat there, hardly got any use at all. Let's come to the driver's side. Again, door card wonderfully clean. Footwell areas again all really nice. And driver's seat, the one takes all the wear. It's got hardly anything on it considering the age of the car. So inside the car now, engine's running for this section, so the dashboard can be seen illuminated, which to all intents and purposes looks pretty much as new. It's in beautiful condition and such a striking dashboard to look at. Come to the main dashboard binnacle. That's the view you get as a driver. It really is so unique and so pleasing on the eye, and all working exactly as it should. No warning lights. 46,412 miles, as I said, in simply beautiful condition in here. Finally, just to quickly show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut key, both here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda CRZ. It's the 1.5 GT hybrid. This particular car is registered HV60YXX. And mileage at the start of the road test is 46,318 miles. The reason we do these videos is essentially so that if anyone's looking at the car online, they actually get to see that very car in operation. And we feel it's really important. We know to our cost just how frustrating it can be to go and see a car, which whilst it looks great in the description and the photographs provided, may have a fundamental issue which shows up whilst you're test driving the car. So that's why we do it. It's also done on these quiet country roads very close to our premises, and this actually forms part of the road test route anyone would go on, and the reason for that is it'll then hopefully be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car, as you'll know from the advert, in terms of ownership and history, it ticks every single box. Starting with the engine or hybrid system of the car, these are what they refer to as self-charging hybrids. There is no plug-in, you're not going to run out of battery. You know, as long as you've got fuel in the car, it just drives exactly as a normal car would. The only difference is it's using a battery system which is charged by the car as it's driving along when you hit the brakes or backing off, that kind of thing, to give it kind of extra power. You know, at the various times, and the car will determine as and when that's required. It just works absolutely brilliantly. It's seamless in the way it interacts with what's going on under the bonnet. Worth pointing out, there's no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car, so all exactly as it should be. What it does, it operates in 3 modes. You've got 3 buttons on the side here, and when you start the car, it always starts in what's referred to as normal, so it's kind of an in-between. It says normal on the dashboard to make it nice and obvious for you. Basically, that gives you, it just drives as it says. I mean, it's just lovely, you know. It's but you've got the other 2 modes which are kind of slightly more extreme. You've got economy mode, which basically, as soon as I put my foot down now, it just feels flatter when you're driving the car. It's obviously, you know, there to sort of encourage more economical driving, get the absolute best out of the economy of the car. And the steering's a little bit lighter in that compared to certainly the sport mode. Personally, I don't like it in this mode because you put your foot down, it's kind of waiting for things to happen a bit. You put it into sport mode, and immediately you've got this the red glow around the speedo readout in the middle. Throttle response instant, just a lovely throttle response to the car. Steering is weighted up as well. Now, I had one of these cars, and my very first CRZ, if I'm brutally honest, I did not get on with, and that seems a strange thing to say for someone who's, you know, promoting trying to sell a car. But the reason is that when I bought it, I basically wanted to try and get, you know, as much, if not more, than the manufacturer was claiming, so sort of over 60 to the gallon. But to do that, it meant driving basically very gently in economy mode the whole time, just having to think about your driving the whole time. My second CRZ a year or so later I bought, and basically I just leave it in sport mode, or left it in sport mode the whole time, and just thoroughly enjoyed the car. It just is a different beast. Now, you know, I was then getting sort of mid-50s ish, sometimes more to the gallon, but thoroughly enjoying the vehicle, and, you know, for what it is. So forget the other modes as far as I'm concerned, unless you may be, you know, in town just driving around, then yes, it's fine. But in the open road, sport mode is the only mode to be in my personal opinion. It's fantastic. What it gives you is, you know, it said much sharp throttle response. You tend to use the engine that bit more as well, and the engine's got that lovely old school induction, so you put your foot down, it kind of growls at you. It's a lovely unit, it really is. Engine then feeds through, so that thing you can hear pinging on and off, by the way, is a little warning light to say you've reached 50 miles an hour. You can turn it off. I can't stand it. It does, literally every time it goes off, it makes me jump. Engine feeds with clutch and gearbox. Clutch on the car, absolutely perfect, as you'd expect with the mileage on the car. Gearbox is one of the very best manual gearboxes you'll ever use. It is simply brilliant. Short and throw, really lovely mechanical feel to it, even though it's cable operated as most gearboxes are these days, front wheel drive ones. But it's just the weighting of it, it's the shape of the gear lever, it's the positioning of it, absolutely perfect. It is brilliant because it's one that encourages you to use the gearbox rather than kind of, you know, obstructs you, as so many gearboxes do. Wonderful. Steering and chassis of the car, it really is a throwback, in my opinion, to kind of the 80s and 90s hot hatches, because what it's got is so athletic, it's so light on its feet, so quick and nimble to change direction. It's genuinely fun in a world of sterile cars which they try and engineer out any feel, any noise, anything at all, any interaction between you and the car. This is the absolute polar opposite of all of those things. But what it manages to do is be far quieter than sort of cars of that vintage, and far more comfortable, but with still giving that sort of connection between you and the car. So, and perfectly good, you know, on days where you're not in the mood to sort of hustle it along, it's comfortable, it rides really nicely, it's really well damped, but when you're in the mood, it responds brilliantly. It flows through corners, it eats up tight ones, it eats up quick ones. It's a car that, you know, genuinely take by the scruff of its neck and actually have some fun with. But as I said, when you're not in the mood, it's not there annoying you at those times. The steering is so fluid, it tracks dead straight, there's no vibrations coming back through the steering wheel either, you know, this speed, any speed up to legal limit. But it's just perfect in its weighting, its accuracy, its precision. The chassis, as I said, what I'm looking for on these road tests, by the way, is just any kind of noises coming from underneath the vehicle that shouldn't be there, some chatterings or knocking noises. There's nothing at all. It's absolutely perfect. It's going to be checked in an MOT in the next couple of days anyway, so you know, it's almost by the by, but it feels absolutely as tight as a drum. Brakes on the car, just going to get around the corner, give them a bit of a shove, but they're really good, powerful brakes on the car. And again, what I'm looking for is when you hit the brakes, they should bite well, which they do, pull you up straights, which it does, and there's no pulsing or vibration coming back through the brake pedal at all, so all exactly as it should be. Coming to the interior of the car, worth pointing out, it's not been cleaned yet. It's going to be cleaned, but it's not been cleaned yet, so it's just come to us. So it's lovely in here. And I love these interiors. The GTs get this glass roof with the blinds you can pull across, but adds a load more natural light into the vehicle. And what Honda have done really nicely with the dashboard design, which I'll come to in a minute, is with the colour contrast between the two, this kind of silver trim or grey trim and black dash, it's not oppressively dark like so many modern cars. It's got a, it's a lovely place to sit, you know, with the colouring that they've done, which, as I've said before, is very reminiscent, dare I say, of BMWs of a few years ago. So they've clearly nicked it from them in terms of kind of that combination, but it works wonderfully well. It's also beautifully put together. The dashboard is just so interesting, and a bit like the Civics, you know, it is a really polarizing dashboard in terms of kind of whether people like it or not. And I think that's really good, because it you know, there's so many dashes which are just the offered template. There's just a, you know, binnacle here, center stack there. This couldn't be anything other than a CRZ, which is, you know, superb. You've got your sat nav there, which is an option on the vehicle, by the way, all working perfectly. The climate control system, just lovely actuation of the switches, blows out lovely cold air. And what's lovely, you've got symmetry on the dashboard. That little pod there and the pod on this side, you know, if you look at them, they look virtually identical, which goes back to things like the S2000, that kind of stuff, where you had the similar sort of symmetry going on. So you've got the 3 buttons there for your direction of airflow and heated wing mirrors and recirculation, that kind of stuff. Then you've got your sort of your rotary control for your heater and blower and all that kind of stuff on this on that pod. And on this side here, you've got, as I said, the engine modes, plus traction control, headlamp wash, and electric wing mirror adjustment. But it just works really nicely. It's really good to the eye. And then you've got this wonderful information with the dash in front, the instrument cluster, where you've got right in the middle this kind of floating hologram style MPH readout. Outside of it is this rev counter, and again, different modes will have different colours attached to it. It just looks wonderful in the day. It looks sensational at night when it's all illuminated. It is a thoroughly interesting but incredibly user-friendly dashboard. It's not there just for show. It actually works in day-to-day driving. As I said at the start of the video, it's brief. I'm biased. I love these cars, but as an example of one, it drives absolutely perfectly. Any questions, don't hesitate, do give us a call.